Wake up in the morning, sun shining bright. Got my coffee brewing, everything feels right. But there's something special that I can't deny. Bougie, confident boss lady, she's the reason why. Serving wisdom fresh, like it's made to order. On the Shift Happen podcast, she takes across the border. From hustle to flow, her vibes never fade. She's dishing out the truth in an A-list parade. Shift happens, baby, don't you miss the beat.
Welcome to Shift Happen, a new podcast. Listen, this was a dream for me, and it took a while to do it, but I'm here, and I'm so glad that you took this moment, this time to join me. Now, today we're going to be talking about why I founded Shift. Shift is supporting healthy initiatives for Tulsa. Now, the name of this podcast is Shift Happens, and that's kind of how it rolled off. Shift was formed first, and then Shift Happen came secondly. But a lot of people ask, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. And first of all, I just want to welcome you again to Shift Happens. I am your host, Corrina Jackson. This is real talk, real impact, where we're shifting community atmosphere and involvement one step at a time. See, guys, I am your morning snack, your noonday nibble, and your evening unwind. I'm that bougie, confident boss lady that you need to have in your life. So, without further ado, we're going to move on to why I found Shift. I found Shift because I had to. It was that little voice, that little nudge that just keeps bothering you about, this is something that you've got to do. This is something that you've got to do. And so I did it. And that's why I said that I'm your evening unwind, because I'm the mic and the mission from the womb to the world. We have to make the shift. This is more than a podcast, guys. It's a divine gift. Now, a little bit about my story, and this is kind of how and why I found this Shift. Because when I look back on my journey, Shift wasn't just an idea. It was a calling. I remember being young, around about 25. I was pregnant, and I was laid off from one of the biggest employers in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I was scared. I was wondering how I was going to provide for my baby, and I needed help. So one day I was sitting in my apartment and I couldn't pay the rent. I was wondering how I was going to do that, because like I said, I was laid off. So I started researching resources, and I came across the Metropolitan Tulsa Urban League. And I went to the Urban League, and I ran into a guy that I've been knowing all my life, Eddie. I stopped and I said, Eddie, I'm here to get some, help for my rent. And he was like, sure, go in there and sit down and fill out an application and tell them why you're here. That's what I did, and they helped me with my rent. Now, once I was able to kind of get back on my feet and kind of gather my thoughts and get everything together, I went back to the Urban League and I ran into Eddie again. I said, Eddie, this time I want to be able to give back. You guys were so wonderful in helping me with my rent. I just want to give back. And he said, okay, what do you want to do? I said, well, I don't know. First of all, I don't know. I said, but is there an opportunity for me to get a job here? And he said, you know what? It's a good thing that you asked, because there is. He said, there's a program here called Save Our Babies. It is funded by W.K. Kellogg, and that's the cereal that we eat, guys. He said, there's a program here, and it is to reduce infant mortality. The positions that they have open is an outreach worker. And I thought, oh, wow, this would be something really great for me to get into. I changed my focus, my career, and do something for the community. They gave me a call, and I got the job. Now, it was making much less than what I was accustomed to making, but I wanted this job so bad. I remember when I was at this big employer, I was laid off, and I just remember this lady saying, there is so much out there. There's more to life than this job. She was right. I mean, this job at the Urban League was so self-fulfilling. I mean, I love my job. I met new people and I love the staff that I work with. And quickly, I excelled up. I just went up the ladder real quick. I became the program director of Save Our Babies and loved it. I loved being in management. Now, I was responsible for making sure that that program operated correctly, but I was also responsible for making sure that the grants that funded that program were in order. And so I got in there and I learned the job and I learned how to put those grants together and to keep funding flowing in that program. Now, fast forward years later, I found myself on the other side of the table. I was able to help families and mothers who felt that same fear that I once felt. And let me tell you, once you see a mother smile, because now she sees and knows hope, because someone told her, you are not alone, you can do this, and here's how, it's the most rewarding experience that you can imagine. It sits deep in your spirit. Now, in 1996, I helped to write a grant called Healthy Start. It was a program focused on saving babies' lives. Save Our Babies was lowering the infant mortality, but Healthy Start was looking at different areas within the community to lower this infant mortality. It also helped mothers to thrive. And we got it. We got the grant. I was so elated. But in 1997, when we got the grant, and I was at the Urban League for about a year before the health department contacted me and said, you know, why don't you come and work for us? I remember it so well. Doug was my director, and he said, I would love to have you here. And so I went and worked for the health department. And let me say this, when God moves in my life, he always has to make me uncomfortable, because I'm not going to lie to you, I get relaxed in these jobs and I think, oh, they're going to have to melt and pour me out. But I remember working for the health department for 2 years, and I only went there to get my master's degree because they had a program to help you further your education. So after 2 years, I remember Doug bringing us into his office, and once again, I was at that pink slip level where they tell you you're going to get laid off, and so prepare in 30 days to find another job. But as we were leaving out of Doug's office, he tapped me on the shoulder and he said, I have an opportunity for you. And I asked him, what is it? And he said, it's to manage Healthy Start. And God, I was like, I can't do that. I mean, it was a much larger program than what I was accustomed to running. So I said, oh my God. He said, I don't want to hear it. Just go get your resume together. And that's really kind of what has to happen in my life. Somebody has to push me. And so I went, got my resume together, applied for the job, and I got it. But not without fear, not without being uncomfortable. But I got the job and I settled in, and here was all of this new stuff, reports and learning the staff and just putting things in order. And I thought, what am I going to do? And it just dawned on me. That's when you hold on to God closer than you ever can. And that's what I did. So after managing that program, the start at the health department for about 13 years, we wrote another grant, another Healthy Start for $1.2 million, and we got it. And it was an expansion of the Healthy Start at the health department. And it was in 2014 when we wrote that grant. I moved over to another nonprofit organization to get it up and running. And I ran that for 16 years before that little voice came in my head and said, it is time to move. And I'm like, God, what are you talking about? I'm so comfortable now. I could just hear Doug in my head, but it was God in my head saying, I don't want to hear it. Just do it. So in 2021, I applied for a nonprofit, not knowing what I was going to do with that, sitting here arguing with God. Why am I applying for a new nonprofit? And God said to me, you have to, because you need to push boundaries to give families a real chance at life and close some of those gaps in care, gaps in trust, and gaps in hope. And that's when I knew then, that's when the moment arrived. And that's kind of when Shift came alive. Now, I'm still sitting here with this nonprofit, me not knowing what the plan is, right? And in 2023, a shift happened, no pun intended, but a shift happened. And at this nonprofit, interim was put in place. And I thought, maybe this is the time to go ask her if she would think about relinquishing this program into my new nonprofit, supporting healthy initiatives for Tulsa. And I went and asked her, and she said, who am I to tell you that you can't run this program in your own nonprofit? She's like, sure. So I was like, okay, this is great. And then fear started to approach again. What did I just do? But I moved along to God's plan, to the beat of his drum. And let me tell you, the first year, we worked out of our homes. We didn't have a building or anything like that. We were used to working from our cell phones because COVID brought about a different look for a lot of programs, and Healthy Start was no exception. And I thought, what am I gonna do next? So the first year, we made it happen with laptops and cell phones. We built a team that believed in the mission, and we showed up even when it was hard. Nevertheless, we moved forward and did what we needed to do. The shift was much bigger than what we thought. It was about transforming mindset, which meant it was transforming our mindset. It was about believing in a mission and showing up even when it was hard. So by 2024, we landed real office space at Spirit Bank downtown Tulsa. And the moment really hit me then. This is really happening. Shift is really happening. It wasn't just a dream anymore. So Shift is about saving lives, yes, but it's also about transforming mindset. It's about teaching people to value their health, to advocate for themselves, to build family support systems that work. It's about fathers stepping up and mothers feeling safe enough to ask for help, and babies being born healthy and thriving. Shift became the hub of Healthy Start. I was able to move that program into my own nonprofit, and I was excited. I had a staff that was excited. And here's the truth. It just dawned on me that saving a life doesn't start in the delivery room. It starts with community, with education and trust. You see, Shift, supporting healthy initiatives for Tulsa, is about creating that atmosphere of care and changing the way we see health as a whole. I found this Shift because too many people were falling through the cracks. Too many babies were dying before they had that chance of life, and too many mothers suffering silently. I knew we could not keep waiting for someone else to fix it. Shift was my answer. It was built on faith and legacy. Every step of this journey has been guided by faith. There were nights I cried, wondering if we'll make payroll, days that I questioned if we would keep the lights on, and yet every time God sent provision. Shift is a testimony with faith, with vision, with grit, and we build on something that was powerful and outstanding. Now, I say we because I couldn't have done it without the staff that is with me. This work was also personal. It was for my daughter, my grandchildren, and for every woman and father who think they can't make it. For fathers who feel unseen, Shift is my way of telling them, you matter, your health matters, your life matters. So, you see, Shift was a calling. It was a transformation of life. It was something that was deeply personal to me. It was a response to systems that weren't working, a response to families being overlooked, a response to preventable pain, especially in maternal and infant health. It was also a response to fatherhood engagement and to family stability. I found this Shift because I saw what was missing and I wanted to do something about it. So in the closing of this, I thank you for listening to this episode of Shift Happen. I am your host, Corrina Jackson. This has been Real Talk, Real Impact. And let's just keep shifting the mission alive. And you can do so by sharing this episode with someone. You can like, subscribe, and share with the world, if you will. Let's keep fighting for families and let's keep Shift alive because the work we do is too important to fade away. Now, I like to close every episode by saying, take care of yourself. And most importantly, if you want to make the most of it, take care of each other. Bye for now.